So I'm Inez. I'm a senior studying marine biology at USFSB, and I'm going to be interviewing Ali today.
Hi, I'm Aliana Gare. I am being interviewed by my friend Inez Rosales.
So let's start with the first question, if you're ready.
Yes.
So can you tell me why, and how your interest in the health profession developed? And what have
So,
you done? Oh, sorry.
oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and what have you done to demonstrate your commitment?
My interest in becoming a orthopedic surgeon really started when I was very young. I have a little sister, and I always had just this innate urge to just care for her well-being. If she was sick, I was always the first one to run and try to help her. Let's say she got a cut, first one to run and grab a Band-Aid. So I had an innate want to care for her well-being. And so that really, transformed when I went to high school. My high school had a health career-centered program. And through that experience, I got to take a lot of classes that were geared towards health professions. I had a medical skills and services class. I had a emergency medical response class, and really learning about the technicalities of a career in medicine. It just interested me so much. Those are definitely my favorite classes. So going into undergrad, I knew I wanted to continue my dream of becoming a doctor. So I started shadowing over the summer. I've shadowed, doctors across different specialties. And so taking that next step to actually be in the hospital setting, being in the clinic set, I shadowed in the OR, the hospital, a clinic. So being in those settings and really seeing the patient, physician, those interactions, just seeing how the physicians treated the patient with such care, and they had the knowledge to actually make a direct impact on their patients. That was just amazing, like super, super wonderful to watch. And I really knew that's what I wanted to be doing with my life. And also, I love a challenge. I love to push myself, and I know this is a long road, and I believe in myself to really dedicate myself to the studying, the commitment, research, and so on. So that's really my story into wanting to pursue a career in medicine.
Thank you so much. I think that was like an amazing response, and I can really tell how passionate you are about it.
Thank
Um,
you.
I'm going to go into the next question. Could you please tell me how and why you chose your major, and how this choice benefited you personally and professionally?
Thank you so much for that question. When I started at USF, I was really in a toss-up between becoming a biology major or a health science major. What really drew me towards health science were the public health center classes that I would take. I wanted to get a more holistic view of what health looked like. So that included, um, the healthcare system, incorporating things like religion and how that impacts health, incorporating things such as, sicknesses, epidemics, that kind of thing. So, really seeing how the health of the community, the nation, the world, how, that broad aspect. So, that's what really drew me to health sciences. And the second part of your question was um, how that affects me long term, or how has it
Um,
benefited me?
how has benefited you both personally and professionally?
Yeah, so personally, I've gotten a great deal of, interest in these classes. Um, and professionally, I think these classes definitely give me great insight into the world of health. Yeah.
Thank you. A time when something negative happened to you, or you went through something difficult, but which in hindsight you viewed positively. Can you explain why?
Thank you so much for that question. Um, yes. So, oh, I have a great story actually. My sister and I, we started a candle business over the summer, and there was a time where I signed up for to work a farmer's market, and I ended up getting the times confused. So the time I showed up, it was at the end of the farmer's market. You know, I loaded my car with all the materials, super eager and excited to set up and sell. And at this point, I wasn't able to sell. So we were able to turn that negative into a positive. My mom tried to cheer me up, and my sister and I ended up going to like a show. And that same show, I met a vascular surgeon who offered me an opportunity to shadow him. And that negative experience, that day taught me that even the lowest of the low can be a blessing in disguise. Yeah, so I got the opportunity to, through that negative experience, I got the opportunity to learn about, vascular surgery. I got to see, hundreds of physician interactions, got to see many different, vascular procedures. So that definitely taught me to stay positive. Everything in life happens for a reason, and it's really about, how you handle the curveballs that come your way.
Um, could you describe your ideal life in 10 years? What would you be doing? What would your personal life be like? And what would you be like working on?
Yes, thank you. I absolutely love that question. I definitely believe, planning and visualizing your future is extremely important, especially if you're pursuing a career as a physician where it's very much a long game. So in 10 years, I would be 30 years old. So at that point, I'll be freshly out of residency, practicing as a physician. At that point, I would want to be probably working at either a hospital or opening my own clinic to service, you know, individuals in the community who need help the most, whether they are in, financial crisis or are disproportionately, looked over, So, and I'd also like to have my own family at that point to be able to, instill the values that I was raised with, and, create a home for, you know, my family to thrive in. Yes.
Thank you. Um, how would you describe your leadership style? And can you tell me an example of when you had to adjust your leadership to address the needs of a group?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. I would definitely describe my leadership style as collaborative. I think it's extremely important to highlight everyone's voice, to make sure those who have ideas, feel heard and seen. When undertaking a big project, it's important to remember it's a team job. It's not just one person's job. So I think really delegating, responsibilities and tasks to everyone, and creating discussion, not just, oh, you do this, you do this. Really like, okay, we have this problem. I want to hear you guys' input, and let's work together to come up with a solution, or, let's get some steps in place to, get a final product that we can all be proud of in the end. For example, I hold leadership positions at the USF St. Pete campus. I am president of the Caribbean Club, and I am chair of marketing and communication for the USF ambassadors. Um, in the Caribbean Club, we throw a lot of events throughout the year, and these events require a lot of planning, a lot of, collaboration. So I take my role as, leader very seriously. I like to go above and beyond and demonstrate, you know, great leadership skills through putting a lot of effort into what I'm doing and also showing appreciation to the people around me. Thank you.
And my last question for you, what do you think is more important for a good health professional to have? Um, Independent thinking or to be a team player?
That's a
Or wait, sorry, I'll
you're
rephrase
good.
that. Which do you think is a more important quality for a good health professional? To be an independent thinker or to be a team player?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. I believe being an independent thinker and a team player are two extremely incredible, important skills that every health professional should have. We all bring something different to the table. And so in that case, we all bring our own independent thinking. So I think it's very important for us to, foster our own ideas so they can be heard and, so they can be contributed to decision making. And at the same time, medicine and healthcare as a whole is collaborative. It's inherently collaborative. So I think that aspect is incredibly important. Everyone should understand their roles and responsibilities and, put their best foot forward and approach it as such. I think it's important to make informed decisions. So that ties back into the independent thinking. Being a team player, like I said, is very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay! Oh my God.